Morning, everyone. I think we could make this picture a little bigger because it's tiny. Bit of a daunting experience, but nonetheless, I'm here today to talk about the importance of authenticity, customer-centricity, and actually investing in CX capabilities. I hope we have some key decision makers in the room because it's always hard to motivate for research for CX capabilities, and I just want to show you the value of what happens when you get behind a team. I sound a little bit nasally because those of you with kids, I have a 3-year-old, and every 2 weeks she comes home with flavor of the week. All right, so this week we are doing the flu. Maybe in 2 weeks it'll be chicken pox, who knows? Right, so I just want to kick off and tell you a little bit about who TIH are, because a lot of the time when we say Telesure Investment Holdings, people say, well, who are these people? And quite simply, our story goes back to the 1980s, and at the center of this has been, we started with auto in general, and we're actually this month celebrating 40 years in the short-term insurance business. And part of that has been to push that out to multiple brands, such as First for Women, the only insurance specifically designed to keep South African women safe, which if you think about it in the country we're living, kudos to us. The other one, of course, being Dial Direct. Most of you might remember the less yada yada, more ching ching. So we're all about simplicity, making it easy for customers. The other one that sits there is the broker's best friend, which is Renasa. And Hippo, we don't need an invitation to troll anyone there, but ultimately looking to create affordable solutions for our customers. So why am I telling you all of this? Just by show of hands, how many of you guys have contact centers in your business? How joyful is that experience? The best thing ever. I would make the worst contact agent. I'm terrible at connecting. And then just by a show of hands, any people in insurance in the room? All right. So one of the critical challenges that our business has had to face is we are very good at task. And what I mean is the Ombudsman loves us, the FSCA loves us because we follow the book, right, when it comes to underwriting, processes, procedure. The task component is good. We're good at the functional parts, right? But where our biggest challenge has been, and I think this isn't unfamiliar to many of you, is how do you create that connection with your customers? So the beauty of COVID is it pushed us onto digital platforms, right? We all kind of went from seeing each other in the office to sitting behind a screen saying, nothing on my side. Sorry, guys, the guys are mowing the lawn if you hear a noise. I apologize, my child's just come back from school or whatever. And the beauty of it is it's made us more adaptable to digitization, but what it's also left us is this lack of personalization, this lack of human touch, and this lack of authenticity. And that's where we found ourselves. So a multi-branded strategy is great. You have multiple options to get money into the business. But what it's also good at is templatizing. So what works in budget insurance, we're going to copy it, we're going to paste it into First for Women, etc. That has served us no good. So what I'm about to show you is part of a 3-year journey that was painful, but had a lot of rewards. And when I say painful, I mean I'm probably balding under my wig. That's how stressful this was. To try and get your executive leadership on board with changing the culture of a business and actually getting the investment behind it. So what did we do? Like I said, task, great. But how are you going to build authenticity? Everyone talks about operationalizing empathy. All right, that's the buzzword. How do you operationalize empathy? Quite simply, empathy only works if you've experienced that. In our world, quite simply, the contact agents might not have a vehicle. They've never lost a vehicle. They don't own a business. So how do you ask a contact center agent to empathize with somebody whose vehicle's just been stolen? So quite simply, we moved away from that word, and all we tried to do was to drive a customer-centric business where we said, how is this going to affect the customer? We took 5 key steps to do that. At the center of it was to revamp the customer strategy, and I cannot stress the importance of this. Anyone can build a strategy. ChatGPT will help you. Copilot does a good one as well. But is it a good strategy, and how good are you at implementing it? If you don't have those in place, you are heading to failure. The other part of it was about driving the correct behaviors. across the business. One of the things is you can't spell culture without cult. And we basically built a cult in the business around customer because that behavior funnels from the top. If your top leadership doesn't believe in it and they don't buy in it, you're never going to get the bulk of your business to get on this train. The other component was keeping a close eye on these experiences. You build, you develop, but what are your customers essentially saying? And then the last part was to ensure accountability. So we don't always get it right in our business. I completely acknowledge that. But what's been key is how you manage that when you've dropped the ball. There's nothing worse than a third party having to resolve your problems. You want to fix that in-house. And obviously the one we can't ignore was optimizing our digital experiences. So I'm going to actually take you through what these steps look like without giving away our IP. My bosses said, you've got one job and one job only. Don't give away the secrets of the business. Your competitors might be in the room. I saw some of them already. I've met some of them. So here we go. 3 key pillars. Developing a customer culture code. Behind this customer culture code was us getting to know our customers. We spent so much time in the past 3 years trying to understand what ticks them off, what drives their purchasing behavior. We got so close to our customers, we actually almost moved in with them. And then we thought it might be a bit excessive, so we said, can we sit in the cars with you and just drive and see what your day-to-day is like? And they're like, okay, that's fine. So that's as close as we could get, but we'd probably wear their skin if we could. That's how close we are. The other part is journey mapping. And I'll talk about journey mapping in quite a bit because it is important if your business isn't doing this already. And I'm not talking about your current journeys. I'm talking about future journeys because it's all good and well to fix what you're navigating now, but what does that mean in the next 5 years, right? And then digitization, no explanation needed there. So on our culture code, I didn't give it away, the secret sauce, but ultimately it was designed to get everyone on board in terms of the behaviors we want everyone to exude. We want to make it easy. We don't want to bore people with jargon. Life is hard. If any of you drive on Winnie Mandela Drive, my gosh, the last thing you want is your insurer annoying you on top of that drive, right? So simplicity, meeting expectations, not meeting them once, but doing it consistently, right? Because who wants a one-trick pony? And that's pretty much what we wanted to do. We wanted to deliver consistently. I think in the business we say we want to be better than Checkers 60. We want to be like a Checkers 45, if that's a thing. That's like what we're aiming for, to deliver consistently. And this set of principles was key, but what is important is we built this internally. Who better to tell the business how to behave than your own people? So everything, learning material, we built that in-house, and this is from the minute where somebody gets inducted into the business. They go into this 2-day cult immersion session to say, this is what we're all about. And what we do is we re-induct. So people who've been in our business for 5 years, some people do forget, right? So we repeat this behavior. There's learning material. We get everyone on board to say, this is how we need to behave. The second component was journey mapping. Now, I don't have to tell anyone here about the importance of journey mapping, but I think what's been key for our business is a lot of the time as a customer experience team, we sit back and we say, how dare you do that to the customer? How dare you make the customer go through this type of experience? And what's nice about journey mapping is I think a lot of us just ate up our arms because there's a lot of system failures that are happening within your organizations. There are a lot of budget constraints that are happening, and it's not quite simply that people don't want to meet the customers where they need to be. There are a lot of restraints. This allowed us to identify, about over 47 opportunities to improve, just by simply looking at a journey, making a couple of tweaks. And then what we did, and this is where for us artificial intelligence has been such a big part of our business, is when it comes to mapping future journeys, that's where we're trying to head to. We're ticking the boxes now, but what does insurance look like in the next 5 years? Right? We're very big on motor and building insurance, but that might not be where the future lies. People are looking for more flexible insurance. They're looking for micro insurance. And that's where AI has kicked in to kind of help us future map where we need to get to in the next 5 years so that we're not lagging behind. The other part about it is it's been a great training tool. Instead of us telling the business, we've actually showed them some of the flaws. So every time we say, can we please have some money to build this? We just show them the journey and say, look at this tragedy. And then they say, oh, you poor souls, here's the money, go build, go improve. And I think it's important because it gives you a holistic picture of your business as well, that many people might not necessarily be aware of. All right. Driving the correct behaviors. So this is really about ensuring quality. Our QA team, gosh, the business hates to see them coming. They're tough. They apply like a pass or fail metric. It's like being in high school all over again. There's no wiggle room to negotiate. And quite simply, it wasn't enough for us to have a CX code. We actually made sure that when we do quality checks, that it actually aligns into all of those different nuggets. So when we listen to the interactions every day, is the agent connecting? Did they make the customer feel like they matter? Yes, we will check the compliance part in terms of task, but what about the touchy-feely things, right? Did the experience match that? And they get nailed to that, but we don't just nail them forward, we also provide support. So part of that is also to equip these teams to have the type of interactions we're looking for. And ultimately, what that allowed us to do is to get actionable insights, to learn where to improve, and to take a targeted approach to getting to the bottom of where we are dropping the ball. The other one is my favorite, the experience part and ensuring accountability. So obviously, real-time feedback, doesn't matter how you go about it. It could be a survey, via SMS, WhatsApp, whatever you want. But the importance of real-time feedback is it's top of mind. It's fresh. There's nothing worse than asking a customer about a claims experience they had 3 months ago and say, how likely are you to recommend us to your friends and family? The researcher in me despises that question, but for the CEOs, we will keep it. This is important because at the back of it is it's not just about us getting a 5 out of 5 rating. Behind our survey sits our service recovery process. So we have proven year after year that customers who rate us a 1 to 3 out of 5 or a 0 to 6 are likely going to cancel their policy within the next 5 days. If we do not remedy that, we have lost a customer. And we literally get to these customers, successfully contacting about 85% of them within 8 hours. That's day one. And part of that process is to say, I got your feedback. Help me understand what went wrong. How can we improve it? We apologize. Let us fix this for you. And we've seen a lot of success in that, and I'll show you in the next couple of slides how important this component is. And that's what I was talking about when I say fix your own problems before someone else has to fix them. And that's where our escalation management comes in from an internal dispute. If you have a complaint, come complain to us. We'll make it happen. You don't have to go to the ombudsman. There's no need. Also, he publishes results, which is not good for our reputation, so we fix it in-house. Very important. And the other part of this was when you have so many different brands or different products, personalization becomes key. And this is where our brand personas come in. Our digital capabilities as well as our data sciences team have built such a robust model that live we can see the type of customers we have every single day. But what does that mean from a quantitative perspective? It's all good and well to know that your base is 25% female and that they're 34. It's the touchy-feely stuff. What keeps them up at night? What's a deal breaker for them? That's why we can confidently tell you that a budget customer is more price sensitive. They can overlook many aspects, but if you give them a 25% increase on that premium, they are gone. Whereas a first fulfillment customer doesn't mind paying a little bit more, but if you drop the ball when they've requested roadside assistance, when they're stuck on Beclue with a flat tire, and you don't show up in that 10 minutes, that is a deal breaker for them because safety is a driver. So that's just some of the nuggets we put into that. But I want to show you the results. And I know everyone's going to say awards, what do they mean? But I'm going to show you why it's important. Telesure, for this past Orange Index Awards, which is South Africa's biggest CX benchmark, we actually took first, second, third, and fourth place. I can't remember who came in fifth. I don't remember who came in fifth, but I don't think they got anything out of this award ceremony. And one of the other questions is, "Verseker, who's that?" I'm like, it's a product of Auto in general as well. And this is quite simply because all the uplift came from the emotional connection. where the customers they independently interviewed said, wow, these guys took time to get to know me, they connected, and this was the whole purpose of the exercise, right? And I mean, our success goes beyond South Africa. Global publishing giant Forbes has for 2 years in a row now recognized our insurers as some of the best insurers across the world. Again, another piece of independent research. Last year it was really Auto & General and First for Women. This year it's Dial Direct, Auto & General, Budget, and First Women that have come in. All again linking back to it's easy to do business with you, but thanks for not making me feel like I'm just paying a premium every single month. And then from a digital component, because all of this work was also about that. For the first time in about 5 years, 2 of our brands were in the top 3 for digital benchmarking as well. And this is what I mean when we're saying invest, because ultimately, where this comes down to is the ability to turn all of these accolades into money, right? Everybody wants money. The shareholders want their dividend. The board doesn't really care. They just want to see the R's at the end. And one of the questions a lot of the time CX people get asked is, what is the return on investment of a good customer experience? And that is probably one of the hardest things to prove, because we can't pinpoint definitively that the reason why your investment or your profit margin went up is because of us. I mean, we'd love to, but there are many aspects, right? It could be the product, it could be the pricing, it could be CX. But what I want to tell you quite confidently is at the end of this journey, financially, this has been our business's most successful year since before COVID. And by that I mean profit margins exceeding of about 140%. And when we were asked, where is that coming from? Ultimately, the big driver was the CX component. So we've taken all of our data and we got to the second of it, and what we know for sure is 90% of our book said, based on the experience you gave me when I initially took up cover with you guys, I would likely take up more. So what do we do with that information? We push it in for upsell, and that's what they did. The importance of good word of mouth, right? And I'm not just talking about your friend or your family telling you about it, but also when other people in the industry are making noise, is that likelihood not just to recommend, but to take on more products? So we upsell. At the center of this is we looked at our new business cancellation and existing business cancellations. And what we know is that 61% of the customers who came in to cancel the cover that they had with us, we were able to retain them. Why? They said, because of the way the consultant dealt with me. They listened, they got to the center of what my problem is, they empathized, and they found a solution. What does a solution look like? So without getting too technical, comprehensive cover is the most preferred one, but it's not the only one. So somebody calling in to say, I can't afford this premium anymore, they don't have to go. You can say, okay, what do you need? We can give you third-party fire. And that's the ability of equipping your team to do the needs analysis, to listen to what the customer wants. And at the center of that has been the CX component. So in a nutshell, what I want you to take out of this session is invest in your CX teams, invest in research. Why? Loyalty and retention go a long way. This current environment we're in, people are very disloyal, A lot of the time you hear jokes around, oh, this is my husband. He says, okay, but are you guys serious? Because nobody is loyal anymore. And that's what we mean. We want this loyalty where you make it hard for a customer to want to leave your brand or your organization, because there's so many other things that they love about it that they have to really think twice. We're looking for long-term loyalty. We don't want the customer that's going to leave in 3 months. You want that customer that's going to celebrate 5, 10, 15 years with you, because they tell other people about it, and that's what we want. We know for sure that a good customer experience directly relates to your profit margins. So do it. And the other part is the customers who love you the most are a lot less price sensitive. I'm not saying hit them with the 25% increase, but it makes it very hard if everything else is great, right? Because then they think about, if I go to the other person, am I going to get all of this? So we make it hard for them to leave as well. And ultimately, from a competitive perspective, it's what you want. Insurance is insurance. And I'm sure a lot of the time, whether you're in FMCG, whether you're in banking, a bank is a bank is a bank. So what is that differentiator that makes customers want to stay with you? And ultimately, it does come to making it easy and to be able to give that human touch. And the last one is operational efficiency. If your day-to-day components of business are not working as they should, And if they are not streamlined, it's all good and well to make your customers feel like they matter. But if you're going to drop the ball when the moment of truth comes, what is the whole point of what you're doing? And ultimately, that's what we strive to do, and that's what's been sitting behind our success. And just the last one from me, and I think it's a quote we quite like, and it's a principle we adopt throughout the business. Know what your customers want most and what your company does best. Focus on where the two meet. If you can get this right, I think you've got the template for success, quite simply. And that's me.